What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for October 13th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. What a win. I told you last week if they made it 1-1 game in Atlanta, they weren't going back. And, just another business-like performance. I don't even know where you want to start. Do you want to start with Bryce Harper just being the man and really getting the city? I didn't get a chance to talk about this yesterday because of everything else we had going on, but just the press conference he had where he got emotional about being in Philly and playing for Philly and just the desire to win a championship here. And I think it's the same feel. The feeling is mutual. I think everybody here wants to see him win a World Series and just him being clutch. And it's just the suit he had on yesterday was pretty phenomenal too, with the Philly skyline, the Fanatic handkerchief. You want to talk about Castellanos, back-to-back home runs and back-to-back days, and just I love his interviews. The way the guy asked him yesterday, he was like, "Nobody has done that," and he was like, "Where's the question?" And just the way he does, it's just phenomenal. Ranger Suarez coming out and just being dominant, and again, he's going to be key in this next series. Just like last year, if they win the Ranger Suarez game, which they've done twice now, they'll be in good shape. And just he goes out there. He's one of my favorite players. I just love him. The way that Rob Thompson managed that bullpen, knowing that they could close out Atlanta. So obviously he did it slightly different, bringing in Alvarado and Kimbrel, and it paid off. And then trusting Strom there, and it's just. This team is clicking right now, and it's amazing to see. It's fun to watch, and the crowd again was electric. It's just I'm excited. It's going to be a tough NLCS because the Diamondbacks remind me a lot of us last year, just kind of sneaking in and then going and just sweeping their way through. But we are just as hot, and it should be a good series. I'll get more into the breakdown later this weekend. But now just enjoy it. We got until Monday. Just the Phillies don't have to get on a plane. That's going to do wonders, I think, for just their mental health and just being able to rest. They're going to be at home for their. It's huge. They don't have to worry about packing now until at least the middle of next week. So, and all those things that you kind of take for granted, but it's just soak it in. It's going to be fun. The Braves, I think they're the Dallas Cowboys of baseball. They get to the playoffs and then choke. Talking about the glory days and things like that. Sure, you had the most wins in the league. How'd that work out for you? And I do feel that this rivalry, if you could call it that, because it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season, the Braves have never beaten the Phillies in the postseason. So I guess technically it's a rivalry in the same sense. And yes, I'm going here. Same sense that my Temple Owls had a rivalry with Penn State, even though they only beat them once, ever. There's no rivalry between the Braves and the Phillies. And I feel this postseason, the Braves have supplanted the Mets as the most hated rival for the Phillies. I know the Phillies and the Mets have longer history, but if you think about it, since the Braves have come into the NL East, it's been the Braves. It's been the Braves. It's been the Braves, and they're always been the team to beat. Once we get into the postseason, though, we beat them. So let me know what you think about that. To me, for my money, the Braves are the new rival of the Phillies, the most hated rival. Let me know. Send me a message. Going to be a few times for you to interact today. Might be a little bit longer of a pod, but that's okay because it's a Victory Friday heading into the weekend. But next game, Monday, 8 p.m., and the Orlando Arcia thing is just hilarious. I love the fact that, and I didn't even get to address this yesterday, love the fact that it wasn't supposed to be reported. And, I get that the clubhouse is supposed to be a sanctuary and it's supposed to be a sacred place. But if you have the reporters in there and you say something like that, don't say it then. You said that, own it, Like, don't backtrack and say, "Oh, we weren't supposed to hear it." No, you said it. Own it. It bit you in the ass. And I love the fact that the Phillies were wearing those Attaboy shirts. Attaboy Bryce in the clubhouse celebrating yesterday, and it's just a good time. One last thing about the celebration. I love that Fletcher Cox was just randomly in the locker room dancing with them. I saw a video, and all of a sudden Fletcher Cox pops up. I don't think Philly right now is the center of the sports universe. And I don't care what you say, like, because of baseball and football and just the fan base and everything like that and what's been going on for the past year. Yeah, hockey, yeah, basketball, whatever. This is the center of the sports universe, and I've never thought in my wildest dreams when I was a kid that I would ever see something like this, that Fletcher Cox is going to be in the locker room partying with the Phillies, and then Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are going to be in the stands like cheering for the Phillies. Like, this is just wild. So enjoy it. This is a good time. This is fun. You know what else is fun? PhillyGoat.com. And yes, that was a cheesy promo or segue, but they actually came out yesterday with the Attaboy Bryce shirts. They're phenomenal. And like I said, like they come out with a new shirt every day that's just as good as the next. And they haven't even gotten to the Eagles stuff yet. So go to PhillyGoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery, 10% off. My mom sent me a text about ringing the bell, so I took a selfie with my Ring the Bell shirt from Philly Goat. She recognized it and said, that's nice. Is that a Philly Goat shirt? She's buying herself a Philly Goat shirt. So be like my mom. Go to PhillyGoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Celebrate this win. Get ready for the NLCS. Buy a hoodie. Buy whatever you need. But they have a ton of Philly stuff. So let's keep Red October rolling. All right. Speaking of those Eagles. And again, I love the fact that Fletcher Cox was just hanging out in there. I hope that means he's definitely playing on Sunday. Just kind of throwing that out there. Jalen Carter, not mysteriously, but showed up unexpectedly, I guess I should say, on the injury report yesterday with an ankle. I don't know what that means. I guess we'll get more of an insight today when they practice. Darius Slay did not practice again. It does appear that he might be out this week, which is unfortunate in the sense that we're already short in the corner. But he also doesn't miss a lot of games anyway. Sidney Brown practiced in a limited fashion, as well as Nakobe Dean. Hopefully, Sidney Brown's the wild card. He's been practicing in a limited fashion for a couple weeks now, so I don't know if he's ready to make that leap, if they're taking him slow. I would love to see Nakobe Dean back out there. Especially if Jalen Carter's not in, I think we're going to need to find creative ways to get pressure on and just keep the pressure on Zach Wilson. He's not a good quarterback. We'll know more today, but on the injury front, just some key injuries there. But I think with the way the schedule is, we'll be okay for at least this week. I'd rather get Slay healthy, rather get Jalen Carter healthy and everything for next week's game against Miami. Obviously a tougher opponent with a better offense. So if they have to sit out against the game against the Jets and it's a little bit closer, I'm okay with that. Robert Saleh did say he's ready for the tush push. We just need to give them 11 kisses. And I love how teams are wasting time game planning for this. And it's really, sometimes we don't even use it in a game. So I think obviously everybody has their opinion. I have a feeling it's probably going to be outlawed next year because everybody's a bunch of whiners. But I love the fact that there's so much focus on this one play, and our offense is pretty damn good. But more on that Eagles game coming up later this weekend. The nice 425 game of the week on Sunday. Check out Clashing Conferences podcast. It was a good one this week, and the hate is running deep with the way the rest of the NFC East is going, and the Eagles just all they do is keep on winning. And the way the guys are attacking Greg, you would think that the Eagles are like the most evil person in the world. So go check out the Clashing Conferences podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. Flyers open up the season with a 4-2 win. I did have it sort of playing in the background on my laptop, watching during commercials and everything. And it seemed like they were playing hard. I mean, the young guys came out. They were playing. 4-2 they won. Carter Hart looked good. He was pretty sharp in goal. Travis Konecny had 2 goals, but I think I was impressed with the effort. Tortorella has them playing hard, and again, that's what you want to see. You want them to instill that winning atmosphere. I mean, it's obviously a good start. Columbus is not a good team, but the way they played was my takeaway. They seemed like they were buying into the coach. They were playing hard and really trying and really developing. So it's a good way to start the season, especially from a confidence level. Again, I don't think they're going to make a playoff run. They're not nearly there yet, but it is a good way to kick off the season for the Flyers. Sixers news, and I said yesterday, I feel a Harden bomb is rumbling. Woj did come out and say yesterday, don't expect a quick resolution to this. Basically, Daryl Morey's trying to take what the Clippers are going to give him and turn it into an all-star caliber guard to replace Harden. That's not really a new thing, though. We kind of already knew that because basically that's what Morey has said. That's what the Sixers has said. So I'm kind of wondering if this is a leak somewhere between one of the parties involved, and it might be strategic and there might be a move coming. But, I mean, a lot's going to be dependent upon Harden's attitude and everything. But the trade value will probably increase as we get closer to the trade deadline. But I don't know. I think it's not a news story, so it's kind of maybe a strategic leak. I don't know. Kind of just keep an eye on that because I feel like something's ready to pop in this story because it's been with as contentious as it was throughout the summer. The fact that everybody's like singing "Kumbaya" at training camp right now. It doesn't pass the smell test for me, so we shall see. All right, going all Phillies now the rest of the day. We are going to go back to 2008 today, and on this day, October 13th, 2008, it was Game 4 of the NLCS, a very pivotal game between the Phillies and the Dodgers. Phillies were up 2-1. They won the first 2 at Citizens Bank Park and had just gotten blown out 7-2 the night before in Game 3. So this game was a back-and-forth game throughout. The Phillies scored 2 in the first. Dodgers came back with 1. Stayed that way until the 5th. Dodgers got 2 off of Joe Blanton. I will give a shameless plug here. Go to Back to the Future. A couple weeks ago, we did an episode on just how much of an impact Joe Blanton had on this team. But a pivotal game, and he went 5 innings, only gave up 3 runs. And with the way that offense was, you would have thought that would have been good enough, and it was a good outing. But he left losing 3-2. Phil's come back with 1 in the next inning, and then Chad Durbin then gave up 2 runs. So it was 5-3 Dodgers heading into the 8th inning, and then things got fun. Shane Victorino hit that 2-run homer to tie it, and then later in the inning, Matt Stairs, pinch hitter, said he was coming up there to hit a home run and just bombed one hit it out of the stadium, I believe, off of Jonathan Broxton. Phillies win 7-5, go on to win Game 5 at Dodger Stadium. And we know what happened then. They just kind of let it roll. But on this day, in 2008, it was Game 4 of the NLCS, the Matt Stairs game, when he just hit that pinch hit bomb and just absolutely crushed it. And honestly, like thinking back on that whole playoff run, there were so many close calls that could have gone either way that just broke in the Phillies' favor, this being one of them. If they lose this game, who knows what happens in Game 5. But, the whole Milwaukee series, being able to, Brett Myers getting the whatever many pitch walk, when he just kept fouling balls off of CC Sabathia, the rain in the World Series. So it was just, but this is one of those pivotal moments in that season where if Matt Stairs strikes out there and the game is tied, who knows? Broxton was pitching lights out then. But it was just, I remember this game so well. This was when you started to believe that, holy shit, this team might make it to the World Series and they actually have a good shot to possibly win it. But on this day, back in 2008, Phillies beat the Dodgers 7-5 in Game 4 of the NLCS. Shane Victorino and Matt Stairs both hit eighth inning 2-run home runs to give the Phils the win. I mentioned Back to the Future, and I've been saying this all week. I have it ready. It's just a matter now of finding the time to record. I don't know if it's going to happen today. Might be tomorrow morning. I don't know, but there is a new episode coming. We're sticking with our Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame theme, taking a look at Jimmy Rollins and Dick Allen, and why or why not they're not in the Hall of Fame. So just stay tuned for that. But speaking of the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, getting ready for that induction November 2nd. If you want information on this year's class as well as the 20 for 20 they're doing, go to philadelphiasportshalloffame.org. Everything you need is there. Like I mentioned, if you are going to buy a ticket and stop and go to the ceremony, let me know. I'll be there. We can catch up. Just let me know. It should be a good time. Looking forward to it. If you want more information, they're always looking for help. We were talking about the interview I had with Ken Avalon a few weeks ago. Not even monetary, but obviously it's a nonprofit, so any monetary donations will help. But if you're good at staging, if you want to do some research or you have some information that might be beneficial, go check them out at phillyhall.org. And you can also see a list of past inductees. It's very easy to search and navigate by sport, by year. You can search the name. So whatever you want, go to phillyhall.org for all information about the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Today, we're going to look at one of this year's inductees, one of my all-time favorite Phillies, and just sticking with the high that we're on right now for the Phillies making it to the NLCS. Carlos Ruiz, yes, Chooch is getting inducted this year, signed as an amateur with the Phillies back in 1998. Got called up in 2006. Remember when he first got called up, he was a platoon catcher. And then really, I think it was like the 07-08 season is when he became the full-time guy. I would, for my, like everybody, Jimmy Rollins was the leader of those teams. But to me, the heart and soul was Chooch. I mean, he could call a good game. The pitchers loved him. They like Roy Halladay later on in his career, when he came here, said how much Chooch meant. He did wonders with Cole Hamels. Cliff Lee loved him. But on top of that, he turned into a good hitter. He was a defensive-minded catcher. But in that World Series, he hit .375 and had a .500 on-base percentage. If you remember, we called him Senior Octobre, Mr. October. But he has the Major League record. We talked about this for most no-hitters caught. He's tied with Jason Varitek with 4. In his prime, he was actually turned into one of the better hitting catchers in baseball. And remember, he kind of really worked at it. He did make the 2012 All-Star team. 6 times he was in the top 5 for double plays by a catcher. 4 times he was top 5 in putouts and assists as a catcher. He was 2-time NL Defensive Catcher of the Year, and he got better at that as his career went on. That was 2012 and 13. All-time list for catchers in fielding percentage, he's number 1. He's second with assists, putouts, and double plays, behind, I believe, Bob Boone. And he is in the Reading Phillies Hall of Fame as well. Soon to be, I would imagine, at this point, being in the Phillies Wall of Fame. We talked a lot about that, too, on Back to the Future. Another shameless plug. Go back and check out the Phillies Wall of Fame episode. But to me, Chooch was just a class act all the way. One of my favorites. I believe, too, he was the last of that 2008 team. No, I guess I forget whether him or Hamels went first. I think Hamels got traded first, and then Chooch left. He was the last of that team to finally go. But, again, one of my all-time favorites. Chooch, congratulations on your induction into the 2023 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Looking forward to hanging out with you in a few weeks. And if you want to join Chooch and the other inductees, go to philadelphiasportshalloffame.org to get your tickets. But let me know. I want to know who's your favorite player from that 2008 team. Since it's been the 15-year anniversary, we're feeling high. Let me know who your favorite 2008 Philly is. I have to say, I think mine might be Chooch. I know there's going to be a lot of Utleys and Howards and J-Rolls, but to me, Chooch. Gotta love Chooch. So let me know on that as well. On this day, speaking of that 2008 team, back in 2008, Phillies beat the Dodgers 7-5 in Game 4 of the NLCS. Victorino and Matt Stairs both hit 2-run homers and put the Phillies over the top. Harden bomb is coming. I can feel it coming in the air tonight in honor of Chooch. And like Phil Collins says, I can feel it coming. And I think that's part of why I love Chooch. And I know this is a side rant as I'm wrapping up here, but one of the top probably 5 walk-up songs that come into my head. Every time I hear it, like, it's a good walk-up song anytime you hear it, that's immediately who you think of. Phil Collins in the air tonight, Chooch. Kashmir, Chase Utley. Dirty Laundry, Pat Burrell. Like, I can't listen to those songs, and hopefully now you can't either. Can't listen to those songs without thinking of those players. And yes, Bryson Stott has a very catchy one now, but I don't hear that on the radio. Maybe because it's some old, I don't know. But what's your favorite walk-up song, too? This is why I'm excited for the new thing. I'm debuting soon. I'm just working out the technical. So many things to talk about, but good win for the Flyers to start the season. More Eagles coming up later this week. Let's hope the injury report doesn't get any more surprise additions to it. Congrats to the Phils. What a win. Enjoy it. That's just stress-free weekend. We can focus strictly on the Birds. No need to have a Game 5 drama on Saturday night. Diamondbacks come to town on Monday. Be sure to go to Philly Goat, get an Attaboy Harper, get a Ring the Bell shirt like my mom. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. Last decent day. I think the clouds are going to start rolling in today, and it's going to be a crappy weekend. So go get out. Enjoy your Friday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, go Phils.